Beautiful Lingsha will blow your enemies away, and today I'm gonna tell you how to build her best. My name is Juice, and let's get into it. So, what relics does this gorgeous Vidyadhara healer desire? None other than 4-piece Iron Cavalry against the Scourge. Because Lingsha is such an offensive healer thanks to all the fire toughness damage in her kit, the Def Ignore when breaking enemies is extremely strong for her. And because you're most likely playing Lingsha with super break DPSs, achieving 250% break effect for the second half of the passive is more than well worth your time. Lingsha's gonna be dealing some serious break numbers with this. Plus, she wishes to build break naturally, so this is of great assistance to her. 2-piece mix and match sets for Lingsha include 2-piece break percent, speed percent, and healing percent. As for her 2-piece string and orb, simple. You're gonna want to opt for 2-piece Forge of the Kalpagni Lantern. You're gonna be using Lingsha against fire-weak enemies already, and if you aren't, then Firefly's skill can apply a fire weakness to one main target enemy at a time. So in this healer lady's best teams, this set will be quite reliable. She's an absolute fiend when it comes to break effect, so this is quite delicious. Talia Kingdom of Banditry also works as it provides break effect as well, but then you have to get quite a steep amount of speed to make the most out of it. However, you're going to be building a huge amount of speed on her anyway. On the whole, this option is quite formidable. It's only 4% less break effect than Kalpagni. No need to go farm that if you already have this. You can also opt for 2-piece Sprightly Von Wank, namely for the 40% advance forward that it provides. It's rather situational because if you need Lingsha to be faster than Firefly in a situation where the healer lady doesn't use her technique, you'll find that kind of hard to do because Firefly is naturally going to be faster most of the time. Von Wank helps in this niche scenario, but you get far less benefits from it compared to Kalpagni or Talia. Fleet of the Ageless is also really neat for Firefly teams as she wants plenty of attack, and it can also benefit regular crit teams as well that want the stat. Broken Keel is also cool for your run-of-the-mill crit-based teams such as Acheron or Fei Xiao comps. As for main stats, simple. Go for speed boots, a healing percent body, an attack percent orb, and an ERR percent rope or a break effect percent rope. Lingsha wants to be as fast as she can so that she has more chances to use her abilities, allowing her to grant her follow-up attack more actions, which equals more tasty breaks. Set form of damage doesn't scale on crit or regular damage percent whatsoever, so you can opt for an attack percent orb instead to improve her break damage. The body will of course be healing bonus percent so that she can heal better. When it comes to her rope, I'd personally opt for ERR percent. This allows for more ults, which equals more uptime on her break damage taken debuff, plus you get more actions for her follow-up attack. So while the break effect rope may allow for much harder hitting breaks, you should try to meet your break effect requirements for both your light cone and substats. As for her stat goals, simple. Go for 150 speed, 200 plus break effect, and 2800 attack. These stats will get you where you need to be. She wants to be very fast, especially for Firefly's teams, and 200 plus break effect is a safe bet to cover all your fire breaking needs, and then her attack percent stat is to help out her healing. When it comes to this lovely healer lady's light cone options, you have quite a few formidable choices. Her signature cone, Scent Alone Stays True, will be her definitive best in slot pick. 60% break effect up front at S1 is fantastic, especially considering how break effect hungry this lady is. Plus, her ult can apply a debuff which can increase the amount of damage that enemies take by up to 18% at S1, which actually has no break-based conditions. I point this out because this technically counts as applying a debuff to enemies. Therefore, if you want to play an S1 Lingsha in a ratio team, she will be able to help Dr. Ratio cook his enemies even harder. Her ult already applies a debuff without this cone, so for those of you thinking about Acheron, she can already help her out in her base kit. No, this doesn't mean 2 stacks because you can only provide 1 Acheron stack per action. With that being said, the second half of this cone's passive is very easy to trigger, as you should be aiming to build as much break effect on Lingsha as possible right from the beginning. This cone definitely makes her feel like more of a universal choice across a wider variety of teams. What is Real is a fantastic choice as well, considering that it contains such a high amount of break effect. At S5, you can get a nifty amount of 48%, which is only 12% less than her Sig. It doesn't offer much else outside of that other than some self-sustain for her. Quid Pro Quo is also most certainly suitable for our Cauldron Master, as it allows Lingsha to enable a very comfortable energy economy for the rest of the team. It gets especially nice at higher super impositions. My main qualm with it is that you're then gonna have a harder time reaching your ideal break requirement, but if you're able to manage, then definitely don't sleep on considering this pick. Echoes of the Coffin is also a viable choice thanks to the attack percent and speed, plus the extra energy. This is also neat because I'd say that Lingsha is an upgrade over Lorcha in most scenarios, so if you pulled for his sig back then and have long since retired it, well, now's your chance to use Velicon again. Post-op conversation is also effective due to the extra ERR, and since Lingsha's ultimate is very important, consider this a good option. You sadly aren't getting any break effect from it though, much like Quid Pro Quo. Lingsha's Lycombs are fairly straightforward, thanks to the simple nature of what she demands as a character. Lingsha's best teams are very straightforward. Is your DPS a break DPS? Cool, then she's most likely gonna be best in slot for them. However, she does have an extremely strong synergy with Firefly in particular. This is for a few reasons. The main reason is because Lingsha wants fire weaknesses on the enemy in order for all her toughness damage value to be realized, and because Firefly can literally apply fire weaknesses, she is always able to sustain fire weaknesses on enemies, allowing both herself and the healer lady to break enemies like it's nobody's business. There's also the fact that Lingsha increases the amount of break damage that enemies take by quite an amount, which is very beneficial to Sam the Hydrogen Bomb. Enemy toughness will be rapidly reduced, and the extra damage from Lingsha's talent automatically targets enemies of toughness above 0 that have a fire weakness. Not to mention how Firefly's unenhanced skill can trigger Lingsha's Trace, which enables a neat amount of fire toughness reduction in the first turn. You'll be able to get enemies broken in order for Firefly to execute her window of massive damage faster with this lady on your side. The teammates here also benefit Lingsha. Harmony MC enables Super Break, which makes her fire breaks extremely powerful, and Ruan Mei helps with both the speed of Lingsha's breaks while also buffing up the power of them. The entire team synergy is incredibly harmonious. She will also make Firefly more viable in pure fiction, as Lingsha can mow down all the trash mobs of her really powerful fire weakness breaks that come from her skill, which allows Sam to hone in on the larger, more tough enemies that require more firepower to be taken down. No pun intended, I swear. I also believe her to be a strong pure fiction unit in general because of how AoE her fire toughness breaking is, and I feel that this applies to all of her teams. But I'm mentioning this along with Firefly because I feel like this makes this Ruthless Stellaron Hunter a much better pure fiction unit than before. Of course, she'll still be more than welcome in MOC and AS as well, especially AS considering how that game mode really encourages weakness breaking. The main flaw of this synergy is skill points. Firefly wants to use her skill every time she moves for the most damage and efficiency possible. This means that Lingsha can't take advantage of her crazy toughness value every turn, sometimes having to resort to basic attacks. However, this issue can easily be solved with Firefly's E1, as that takes a huge load off of your team's skill point economy. Lingsha becomes uncontested for Firefly teams at this stage. Even Lingsha's own E1 is utterly bonkers for Firefly, as Death Ignore is as stupidly broken, no pun intended, as it gets. Then you look at her E2. Man, at this stage, Sam's gonna nuke 20 more planets without even trying. Lingsha's also excellent for Boot Hill teams. Because of her break vulnerability effect, Befog. It seriously benefits the Cowboy's damage output, which actually makes her the best healer possible for Boot Hill teams. Yes, this team won't be as crazy as Firefly's team, but it will still cook. Plus, since you have Ruan Mei here, you can expect Lingsha's personal break damage to cook hard. Plus, if you don't have Aventurine, then she can act as a competent replacement for Best Boy and Face Xiao teams thanks to her follow-up attacks. Her attacks and Fuas are very frequent, which allows her to easily trigger the follow-ups of other teammates. Plenty of Face Xiao stacks, anyone? I briefly touched on this earlier, but she's actually a competent teammate for Acheron. Even if you don't have her Light Cone, her base kit still contains a debuff with her burst. So if you're in need of a strong sustain character for your Acheroni Macaroni comps, Lingsha will do the job to quite a great effect. Because of both this and how Lingsha already works quite well in follow-up attack teams, she will cook hard with the funny SAS Perkippy Man because he craves debuffs. She is a healer, so she will still work in teams that weren't mentioned here if you're simply after a good sustainer. With that being said, I have highlighted all of her most particularly noteworthy teams. Yet how does this beautiful dragon lady operate? Well, Lingsha's basics do a bit of fire damage to a single enemy, nothing to write home about here. As for her skill, she'll deal some AoE fire damage to all enemies while also healing her teammates by a sizable chunk. She'll also advance forward her follow-up's movement after using her skill. As for her ultimate, she will inflict Befog on all enemies, and this counts as a debuff, so it will benefit Dr. Ratio's debuff trace and also build up Acheron ult stacks. Befogged enemies will receive more break damage for 2 turns, and this ability provides roughly double the break damage taken buff that Gallagher provides if you were to compare them. She'll also deal a lot of fire toughness damage. The party isn't over yet because Lingsha will additionally heal all her allies, and after using her ult, her follow-up attack gets a 100% advance forward. Said follow-up attack is stored within this healer lady's talent. When she uses her skill, she summons Fu Yuan, which has an initial speed of 90 and an initial action count of 3. This follow-up attack will deal fire toughness damage to all enemies, and it will also deal some extra fire toughness to a random enemy that has their toughness bar above 0, while also having a fire weakness. This ability is also where Lingsha's cleanse is stored, as after her follow-up attack moves, all teammates are cleansed. The cherry on top is that this ability heals after it's used as well. Fu Yuan's action count can reach a max of 5, and using Lingsha's skill gives the rabbit creature 3 more actions. Once Fu Yuan's action count reaches 0, or if Lingsha somehow dies despite her incredible healing, then this rabbit will disappear among a sea of butterflies. Her technique will summon Fu Yuan at the start of the next battle immediately, and she will also inflict Befog on everyone for 2 turns. This ability is absolutely excellent, and you should make sure to use this technique before you head into any endgame mode. As for Ascension passives, simple. Her E4 will have her basic regen 10 more energy on top of the ER that it already restores. This is more geared toward E0 Firefly teams, where you're not going to be able to use Lingsha's skill every turn. Sadly, once you get an E1 Firefly, this A4 becomes kind of irrelevant, but if you never intend on doing that, then this is a decent A4. Lingsha's A2 will increase the effectiveness of her healing based on how much break effect she has, so if all her toughness damage wasn't enough to convince you that this lady likes break effect, well then hopefully this shows you that. Her A6 is essentially an emergency heal if somebody's HP becomes lower than 60%. This still has offensive value, as Fu Yuan provides fire toughness damage. You also don't consume Fu Yuan's current action count stacks. Nice A6. As for Trace priorities, simple, go for this. Fu Yuan and her ult are both absolutely delicious abilities, so don't sleep on them. Level her ult first though, because that's where her debuff lies. It's still worth leveling her skill for the sake of the healing. I'd ignore her basic if I were you, because there aren't any special qualities relating to it, other than her E4 which isn't trace level related. Medical care isn't cheap. Time to pay up with Eidolons. The break efficiency is literally nuts. I don't think you need me to tell you why this is so good for Lingsha's break damage. And the def reduction? Holy guacamole with a side of cheese. It doesn't get much better than this. 20% def reduction is nothing short of insane. Wild for an E1, I'm honestly surprised that this is not her E2. But then you get onto her E2. This is a lovely break effect buff, and you're gonna find your break teams absolutely breaking the meta, I'm sorry. And even Lingsha herself is gonna have an easier time meeting her ideal break requirements. Nothing much to say about her E3, extra scalings to both her ult and talent are well appreciated. This E4 is kind of whatever in my opinion, because while it sounds nutty on paper, my man, if you're having survivability problems this bad with an E0 Lingsha, then I think you have other things to worry about. Once again, more trace levels, I don't have much to say. Nice bonus. Naturally, this turns Lingsha from a breaking menace into a nuclear breaking menace. I think 20% all-type res pen is pretty nuts at the end of the day. You certainly get what you pay for here. Yet, let's be real, nobody needs this much investment in order to fully clear the game. I'd go for E1 Firefly first if you're playing Lingsha in a Firefly team to solve skill point issues, then E2 on Firefly because you already have the E1, then go for E1 on the Dragon Lady, then E2, then her Light Cone. Then I'd stop there unless you want to go all the way to E6 on this lovely lady. Though remember, E6 is never necessary. I really enjoy both Lingsha's kit and playstyle, and I'm very satisfied with her power level and team synergies after having played her a good amount. Her ability to powerfully break down enemy waves is super impressive, and I'm personally really looking forward to your official release. Definitely let me know about your thoughts on her down below in the comments. Hopefully this video was able to get your Lingsha breaking the medical bills of her enemies. This has been Juice, signing out. And Lingsha would be a great in-game PvP Pokemon player because she'd have ×99 of every different incense.